Hey boss, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host Marina, and today I'm going to talk to you about the concept of time. Because quite frankly, I believe that most people have a very warped perception of what it truly is. Because oftentimes we grossly overestimate the amount of work we can get done, or underestimate it, or we assume it'll take longer than it should, or we think things will take a shorter amount of time. Right? So how do we get this time perception situation situated? That is a huge topic that, is probably a lifelong pursuit in some ways. But today I'm going to talk to you about how you can genuinely build a business within 1 week. Truly, within 5 days, I genuinely believe you can go from having nothing to having a fully functioning operational system, operational dashboard, POS system, website, landing page, you name it. Every single thing can be installed in 5 days. And I have proved this, actually. And that's what I'm really excited to tell you about throughout this episode. So let me start by putting you in a little bit of a thought experiment so that I can show you how your relationship with time may or may not be costing you and your business some money. So let's go ahead and start by asking ourselves a couple questions, okay? So, have you ever felt like your business is a chaotic mess of to-do lists, scattered files, and tech tools that don't actually talk to each other? And for example, maybe you're already established and you know you have the things, but it just feels asynchronous somehow, like things aren't quite syncing up. Maybe no matter how hard you try to get organized, it still feels like there are inefficiencies or people that are still playing catch up. Maybe you haven't even started at all. And maybe you're kind of stuck in analysis paralysis of where to begin, right? If any of this sounds familiar, let me please tell you that you are not alone. And today I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes of something that just might change everything for you. So last week I hosted the first ever one-on-one tech and operations Bootcamp, which was a fully immersive week-long experience designed to completely overhaul and streamline a business. Let me tell you, the results were insane. So let me set the stage for you. My husband and I run this consultation business, The Modern Mocktail, together, and we both tackle many sides of people's businesses. And what I mean by that is it's kind of hard for us to say like everything that we can help with, because it's really more like if there's a problem, we can just solve it. Like we are expert problem solvers, and we have specifically been in this space for so long that like even if you throw a question at us that like no one knows the answer to, like we would love to figure it out. Like those things don't scare us. Like we are genuinely here to make it work, right? So we had no idea when our client was going to arrive exactly what this week was going to entail. Now, of course, we knew we wanted to do an entire tech and ops setup because this client had just got their lease signed. They are opening in less than 30 days. They need time to complete the remodel and get this all done. And it seems crazy. It seems like a crazy thing if you've never done it before. Even if you've done it before, it sounds like a crazy thing. But that is the beauty of the template. We have built so many businesses at this point. This is my third with like the LLC having like my name in there on the government papers, right? But when it comes to the amount of businesses that we have helped or that we have played a part of in any way, shape, or form, quite frankly, we're kind of almost... It's difficult to keep track of, because when we see that many businesses are often built in the same, like they all have the same foundational structure, and then there are only certain things that need to update based on who you are, where you are, what you're selling, and so forth. So we feel, and especially we felt right before this client arrived, like, okay, like we're really about to be put to the PhD test. Can we truly build a business in 5 days with everything that we've built? And if there's something that we haven't already built, we're going to build it from scratch. And I want to also mention here that the boot camp was 6 hours per day for 5 hours per day. So it was really 30 hours of in-person work. Then the client was expected to do some additional work in the evening at their hotel. And then we would come back the next day and really move through things. And then on our side, so Tyler and I, we would do some things outside of that 6 hours, but our goal was genuinely not to. because we wanted to not only make sure that the business that we were building for our client was as efficient as possible, but we wanted to make sure we were as efficient as possible. So not only did we build a business in 5 days, but we helped do so within 30 hours. Now, again, the client did a lot of additional research to fill in like those little specialties for what makes sense for them on their downtime. But we installed every single system, built a whole bunch of things, which we'll go through that list in a moment. And we found out that this was actually, first off, possible. Second, it's insane how much people don't value their own time. So let me put this into perspective really quick. If I were to tell you it only takes 5 days to put together your business, and you're like, nah, I'm going to just figure it out myself. So you spend the next 6 to 12 months figuring all this stuff out yourself. Or even if you already have built your business and you're like, you know what, I'm fine. I don't need any help optimizing, right? Like I don't need this tech and Bootcamp to like get my ducks even shinier and sparklier and more in a straight of a row. But then time goes on and this is what we start to see. So those 6 months go by and guess what? That business that said that they could probably do it all their own or they're figuring it out, how much money do you think how much opportunity do you think they lost, right? So when we say how much money did they lose, it's not that they literally lost like negative money, like they made a bad investment in a bad piece of tech. Maybe they ended up getting all the same pieces of tech that we would have gotten in this scenario. So the tech would not have cost them more. However, the opportunity cost of not being able to be open for an additional 6 months could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, truly. Especially if you were talking about a very specific moment in society or like what's going on geographically speaking. For example, if you are trying to open up and the Olympics are in your town, you're like, oh, the Olympics are going to be here. I want to be open before then so that I can really make the most of it. Or maybe you have before your big homecoming game and you're in a small town where everybody comes back home. And then this is a big thing for like your high school, your college, or whatever it might be, right? So maybe there's like a deadline that means the world to you. How much money would it cost? How much money would you put value, like assign value to the situation that you might lose if you're not putting your stuff together in time? This to me is the biggest mindset, like thing we've had to shake our clients of, where sometimes people, not all of them, but some, where some think like, oh, you know, like I'm just used to figuring it out on my own. So I think that's going to be the most cost effective way. Then months go by and someone else had already started their idea. Now they have to restart their market research. So not only do they have to rebuild their tech in some ways and their ops, because now their business idea, because it took too long to get to market, now there's all this extra anxiety and fear that didn't need to be there. Because truthfully, at the end of the day, the people who make the most amount of like success in the world, it's not the people who are the smartest, they're not the most popular, it's just the people who can adapt the quickest and get their idea to market the quickest. I can't tell you how important this is and how often I stress, hey, if you're spending 3 weeks killing yourself over a logo, you need to move on. You need to literally put even if you consider it like a B- or like even like a C+, maybe it's even a D if we're grading ourselves on how terrible this logo might look. Who cares? When it comes to the amount of time that you will lose out on when it comes to not getting to market, especially when we're talking about how quickly the economy can change, how quickly certain trends, like if you're not the first in your area and you're not the first to do these things, there might be other pieces of educational barriers that you may have to overcome. For example, you take too long to get to market, someone else opens up instead. They're doing a terrible job. So not only have they tarnished the reputation of themselves, but they've tarnished the reputation of the industry. So now you wanting to open up because you weren't first, because you didn't take control of the narrative in your area, now there's extra work on your plate. Now there's extra opportunity cost that you may have to deal with because you weren't just moving to market with speed. And for those of you who have never opened a business before, or this is perhaps your first, I know that some of the things I'm saying might sound scary. For everyone who is on their second or more business should be feeling a war song, like a battle cry here, right? Because we often end up being the biggest blocks in any process, always. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit more, because when we'd hosted this one-on-one tech and ops bootcamp with our client last week, we were like shocked with the results we saw. By the end of the week, our client looked at us and said, I would have quit my business already if it wasn't for you guys. And that hit us like a truck, because I know so many business owners who feel this way. They just don't always say it out loud. They keep pushing forward, thinking, I should be able to figure this out on my own. Then they have these feelings of shame. And on top of that, if you're in the non-alc industry, you already are dealing with overcoming certain things potentially. If you have any sobriety stories, you're already used to taking a look at your thoughts, habits, and behaviors and seeing what you can do to improve, right? So you're like, well, I should be able to do this. Like, why can't I figure this out? Like, I've been self-helping here for a minute. Like, what is going on? But the truth is, if you don't have the right systems in place, you're working harder than you need to. And if you can't see your blind spots, that's not necessarily your fault, right? It's just about getting the right team. Again, something I talked a lot about in the episode of right before this one. So go ahead and listen to that one if, number one, you are having any sort of team woes. But in this episode, I want to break down exactly what happened during this 5-day boot camp, exactly which problems we solved, and why this might be the most powerful way to fast track your business growth. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start by talking about why business operations feel overwhelming, okay? Like, let's be real. Most entrepreneurs don't start their business because they love back-end operations. No one's like, I would love to send 12 more emails today, right? You started as an entrepreneur because you had a vision, a product or a service, an idea, and a passion. And then bam, suddenly all the like fun, dreamy honeymoon parts of this process real quickly come back to real life, and you have to deal with bookkeeping. You're dealing with your customer relationship management systems, your CRM systems. You're dealing with website updates. You're dealing with automation and project management. Now you have to figure out what SEO even stands for, and you have to run social media. It's like running 12 different jobs at once, which, by the way, it's not like running 12 different jobs. It is. Eventually, all of these positions, all of these things I just said as an example, are typically things that people either outsource or they figure out how to make it the best task for themselves. So I see this all the time. Business owners trying to keep up with everything and not drown. They're using 20 different Google Docs and all these different post-it notes. Maybe they're even using their notes app, and they just feel like they can never catch up. And then what happens? Well, tasks start to slip through the cracks. And maybe at first it's just tiny things that are okay, right? It starts with like, oh, I forgot to order this thing. Well, it's one day late. Who's going to notice? Then that starts to become a habitual thing because you never are catching your breath. You're never really keeping your head above water. So now your reputation is becoming tarnished. Sales opportunities are missed. People don't even bother coming because they know, oh, she's usually out of stock. Oh, he doesn't usually take care of this. And on top of this, maybe you're even wasting time on things that should be automated. So while you're not getting the things you need ordered, maybe you're actually doing a task that you think you can't automate or you think you can't delegate, but that's just because no one has showed you how, or you haven't released yourself from the shame cycle of not understanding. And again, the best thing you can do as an entrepreneur is to be open and to always try to find more information, because what happens when we find more information? What happens when we educate ourselves? We feel less stressed. We enjoy our business. We are inspired by what types of opportunities our business brings to us. We're like, oh, wow. For example, maybe I hated marketing. Maybe I hated sales before, but my business has awarded me this opportunity to learn how to be aligned with what I am trying to kind of couple people with, right? Because I'm aligned with what it is that I'm trying to sell, and people love it, all of a sudden now I'm the best salesman that's ever existed in my theoretical shop because I've overcome that barrier. And now I'm this new person because I, as an entrepreneur, have taken the risk of showing up even though I didn't know how something worked, right? But if you don't allow yourself the opportunity to go play in the sandbox, you're always going to feel that stress because you don't have time to say, okay, well, let me become a better salesperson. Let me just spend some time. Let me just spend 3 months focused on this one thing. Like, that's so hard for business owners unless they have all the things together. This is why we created the Tech and Operations Bootcamp, because we don't want you to feel like all of your creativity and all of these things need to be stifled. We can rip the Band-Aid off and we can genuinely get this done in a week. It's designed to take you out of that hamster wheel and build a structure that actually supports your growth, right? Again, the very first job that turned into a business that I had was being a dance teacher, and therefore also being like an events producer, but specifically like I produced shows that dancers would perform in, right? And so because of that, I had a lot of artists who wanted to be entrepreneurs. That was the first lane of entrepreneurial coaching that I drove in, which I would say is the hard mode, because artists, if you've ever worked with them or you are one yourself, you should know, maybe know or see that artists are wonderful at all the creative parts of things, but they are quite frankly infamously terrible at the logistics. And I don't blame them. It's not their, necessarily always their mode of genius, and that's okay. Sometimes I feel like I only studied math to kind of balance out that creative side of me in order to be able to see it. So the reason I bring all this up is because you could be the most brilliant person on planet Earth, but maybe you are your brilliance is in that product or service that you're trying to get to the people, but ops and tech is just not it. Or maybe you have all of the genius on how to portray this, how to market it to people. But then when it comes to, if it's a product, the actual logistics of getting it created and assembled in time, right? There are certain parts, like that doesn't mean an idea should die just because you don't like have a mastery of every single thing that every human has ever done ever. Like, first off, that's not realistic. Second, I don't know anybody I know who actually does it all. And I'm going to be straight up with you. I have had a business coach who did it all, and I was very attracted to that, and because I wanted to see how much I could possibly do, and I outgrew that coach so quickly. But there are other coaches that I have not outgrown because they continuously stay with that kind of expansive mindset of like, okay, what can we do to expand this and help as many people as possible? We're not trying to stay small and manageable, because the moment something becomes unmanageable, we have the confidence in ourselves to grow. We have the confidence in ourselves to find the answer. We have the confidence in ourselves to figure out what the solution is, even if we have no idea what it could potentially even look like, right? So that confidence is a mindset. Successful people, that is a mindset, seriously, and understanding what parts of time are truly valuable. Is it your operations build out? No. You want to fast track that as quickly as possible, because let me tell you, your non-alc business, like, I'm so sorry if this offends you, but like the thing that you're innovating specifically is non-alc. You're not innovating operations. So quite frankly, most bottle shops, most lounges and bars, their operations are actually going to be set up pretty similarly. There are going to be some things that are different, for sure. I'm not saying that you could just like buy some starter pack and be like, this is good, because if you could, I would sell that starter pack for you right now. The thing is, each starter pack does have a little bit of updates that are needed, right? Depending on what state you're in, which exact botanicals you're selling, certain like regulatory things, right? Like that's going to be the stuff that changes your structure, not your super creative idea. I mean, maybe your super creative idea might update the structure, but even then, is it going to require new tech? Very likely not. Like, you could be an innovator in your space without ever having to use any like a new piece of technology. So what I'm trying to say to you right now is, go ahead and keep the ideas close to your chest when it comes to like marketing, sales, your product, your service. But when it comes to your operations and your tech, you need to rip that Band-Aid off and get it done as quickly as possible, because that is going to be the thing that costs you the most amount of money. Not necessarily in subscription fees or physical tech assets, but I'm saying it will cost you the most amount of money if you drag ass on it and don't set it up and you're like, oh, let me see if I could just get away with not paying for Notion for $20 a month. Can I just live on the free one for a little bit more? Like, dude, you saving that $20 is actually costing you hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of dollars of opportunity cost, because you are staying small, because you're letting your fear of tech get in the way of you doing business. And yikes, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, So, okay, let's give you the full list of everything that we achieved in a week. So the way I'm going to format this, just to go kind of quickly, because we got a lot of stuff done and it's kind of crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the task that we got done and the consequence of us getting that task done. So it's literally going to be 2 sentences per task, because we got so much done in 5 days. Okay. So all of that being said, here we go. Number 1, we organized their bookmarks and created an operations dashboard in Notion. By bookmarks, I mean we updated their all of their internet browser bookmarks and any other bookmark type situation they had. So what we mean by that is sometimes people keep their Google or like their email, like they'll put tasks in their email or tasks in their like notes app. So we took all of those types of bookmarks everywhere and created an operations dashboard within Notion so that there's no more hunting for links or documents. Everything is now streamlined in one central hub. Next, we built bookkeeping systems and product notes. So really, this is actually 2 different massive things. So let's start with bookkeeping. Not only do they actually know where their money is going and they can track their expenses properly, but they can also take a look at, hey, I've tried 500 SKUs. Do I like that product? I don't even remember it. Well, now they have a database to look at it. Once they've decided which things go on their shelves, they click one button and boop, it pops over into their new product dashboard, where from there, if they need to put in an order, all of the ordering information is right there. Next, we also set up a to-do list and the entire project management system. So before, it was scattered sticky notes and mental lists, and again, those email to self reminders, those note app reminders, and it was all over the place, and all calendars were just unruly. So now there are prioritized tasks that actually get done in a very specific place that you can open both on your phone and on your desktop and have an easy time. Again, Notion is such a wonderful tool for this. Next, we handled lease agreements, city permits, and legal paperwork. So I do want to mention that I am not a lawyer. We do not provide legal services or anything like that. But what we do is we help you organize this information and we help connect you with the people who can get these answers. So for example, I'm not going to give you legal counsel on your city permits, but I'm going to tell you and show you exactly how I would do it if I'm opening a shop right now, which lawyers I would contact, or how I would find a lawyer that was right for me in order to complete these things. So all of that being said, we are here to tackle these huge roadblocks that I feel like energetically really mess with people. So we tackled everything head on. We made sure that anything that felt gross or sticky in those situations were talked about, and we got to the bottom of everything. Like, hey, why are we actually nervous? Why hasn't this actually been done? Is it because we're in our heads about this, or we don't know how to talk to them? I've noticed a lot with our clients in general that a lot of people ask us advice on how to talk to city workers, how to talk to insurance brokers, how do we talk to realtors, real estate agents, so that with our fringe business, we don't accidentally get ourselves into trouble. And I'm not saying legal trouble because, again, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to that holistic view of, hey, are all of our systems actually operating in sync, right? Because again, why am I talking about this if I'm not a lawyer? Because lawyers actually only cover a very small percentage of your business is like legal matters. Some things you have to do have nothing to do with lawyers, right? The health department, like many lawyers don't specialize in like dealing with the health department when you are selling high risk fringe botanicals sometimes. So, I mean, you could find some, but also sometimes there are other people within the industry that actually have the answers that are not lawyers that you may think are lawyers, but actually comes down to different like city regulation departments. We are pros at this now. We have gone through so many different government institutions at this point. It is wild. So point of this whole story is this was a huge thing that we tackled. We went down the whole list of everything that our client had to do, needed to do, and already did. And then we organized all of that information, including her EIN, and including if you happen to have LLC paperwork or anything like that in your business. We help you organize all of that so that you know where everything is, should anybody need any piece of paperwork from you at the drop of a dime. This includes your insurance paperwork, maybe rent payments, utilities, anything like that. Any information you need that is very important. The next thing that we did was we integrated her Notion with MeetGeek. So what that means is we created her first AI employee, and what it does is it is essentially her secretary, and it follows her around. It records every meeting. It sends those meeting notes into the Notion, into the operations dashboard, so that at the touch of a dime, you just click the search feature within your operations dashboard and you can find anything that's ever been said on any official capacity, because you've already hired an AI assistant to do that. This is one of my favorite integrations, and I absolutely love doing this for people. The next thing we did is we built their entire website from scratch. Yes, we made an entire website from scratch. It did not exist before the bootcamp. In fact, the URL hadn't even existed before the bootcamp. By the end, we created a fully functional landing page that brought in email addresses that had all the information about like coming soon, shop opening in a month, blah, 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 all the information that was needed. So that was fun. On top of that, we also ensured that that website and creating of that form, that landing page where all of those site contacts came, we ensured that all of that information automatically moved into their CRM system, their customer relationship management system. So this means every single time they get a lead, someone who joins their loyalty program, anything at all, it automatically puts them in a list. So should she want to send out an email to everybody or just take a look at some market trends, she can do all of that with one touch of a button from her website. Next, we set up a new email that matched the brand new website with the brand new URL. So we did a hello@website.com, right? And from there, we ensured that all other emails from any other inbox was auto forwarded to that Gmail. We also optimized all phone notifications to ensure that the right things were seen at the right times. We created branding kits, logos, thumbnails in Canva to not only complete the website design, but also if you need to create business cards. We created a special wallpaper and an entire design for the shop to ensure that with this branding kit, everything matched each other. Everything made sense. Beyond that, we also connected Instagram and Facebook and set all of that up through the CRM process with the website and the whole process, which has been so cool. We completed SEO for the website. We did a lot of market research to ensure that SEO, the keywords that we found were the most optimized. And again, we ensured that when people sign up for that opt-in page, like they sign up for that news list, they are automatically sent all the connection points. So, hey, we're coming soon. Here's where we are on Instagram. Here's, come back here for all the information that you need. So people, without the owner having to even lift a single finger, everybody knows exactly what's going on in their business right now because of all of the updates that we made. The last thing that we did, which was pretty fun, I shouldn't say the last, because there were actually some other little tasks that I didn't really fully mention here. These are like the major categories, but we also created a functional ingredient FAQ section for their bottle shop. So what that means is after creating that entire product management system within Notion, we also took a look at every single functional ingredient that existed in every single one of their SKUs, and then we transferred that into another database where there is more information. So if anybody comes into the shop and says, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about ashwagandha or lemongrass, yerba mate, whatever, who cares? Whatever the ingredient is, there is an instant place to look anything up. And we're making sure that everything that is written in there is written to code. So what I mean by that is we wouldn't want to get our client in trouble with the way that she talks about botanicals, right? Like you want to make sure that you are FDA compliant, that everything you're doing is above board. So inside of that Notion table, we essentially created an ingredient database so that if someone comes in, you know how to explain it the best you can while helping someone and protecting your business from that legal thing, that whole legal situation. And And that's a game changer. That's one of those things that I've requested so many of my clients do and very few actually follow up on. And then they wonder why they have not increased their average ticket size. And I'm telling you guys, it's as simple as this. If you want to increase your sales, you want to make all of the things, all of the modes of genius that you have, if you want to make those successful, if you want to do something with that, make it shown to a broader audience, you have to have a fully set up operation. And this is the best way to do it so that you're best representing yourself. There's nothing worse than creating a beautiful product or service and then presenting it to people and then they just don't get it. And even though they could be an ideal person, like an ideal client or customer, they just don't bite because they are confused by the offer. Well, get rid of all the confusion that you possibly can within yourself and others, because you need to be a clear conduit of information, or else people are not going to trust you or what you are trying to sell. You need to be clear, clean, and in control. So all of these things that I've said, again, most of the list, there are other little things that we did that were very specific for her and her area. But we accomplished all of this within 5 days, within 30 hours, no distractions, no half-finished projects, just real tangible progress. So let me tell you why this immersive format worked so well. Number one, of course, one-on-one attention. I cleared my entire schedule for the entire week and only spent time with this client. My husband and I were very busy making sure that they had everything they needed. Let me tell you, we loved it though. Like, we were so focused and we were able to not only build everything within that week, but we didn't work more than 40 hours. Like, I went to sleep a little early. I was a little tired because we put in a little bit more energy. But we genuinely didn't have, it was nice for everybody to be able to be so focused that it wasn't like, oh, now we have another call, or, oh, let me just respond to this email. Like, no, it was just us being fully immersed. They essentially rented us for their business for the week, and we didn't have to do anything for ours. I would say maybe we did a total of 5 hours of work last week for our own business, and that was mostly just only for our retainer clients, like our one-on-one clients, because we always take care of them 5 days a week. But when it came to our like groups, for example, well, none of them had a live call. None of them had things going on. So our group clients were still able to enjoy their online course material while we were focused on the bootcamp, which was really cool. And then, of course, for our client, that was great because they focused entirely on their business. There was nothing else going on. And we are very... we try to choose environments that have no distractions so that it is very easy for you to focus. But we also don't have generic advice. There's no fluff, because if you are the only person in front of us, we don't have to say all of these, if you're in this scenario or that scenario, in this scenario, then maybe this is for you. Like, no, we're being straight, like, yo, I'm Marina and you're whatever your name is. And we're going straight up, right? Like we're going hard. And that is all about just creating straight up solutions tailored to the needs of the person who's in front of us, which is great. Again, no distractions. Being in a completely new environment away from daily life allowed our client to focus 100% because there's nothing else to do. There was just so much massive momentum. It was incredible. So instead of chipping away at projects over months, we knocked so many out in a week. So this isn't just about learning, it's about doing. And I guarantee if we had tried to do all of this spread out over months, it would not have had the same impact. Truthfully. And I know that, you have to meet, as a consultant, I have to meet our clients where they're at, right? Like we don't just, force people to do things they don't want to do. But if I had a magic wand, since that's a question I always ask our guests, if I had a magic wand and I could do whatever I want in this industry to make it better, I would tell people which more exponentiated packages that they would be purchasing, because there's nothing more frustrating than hearing a client say something like, oh, well, I'm just not seeing results. I'm not seeing results. And you're like, well, have you done the work? And they're like, well, and it's like, what's the one thing you're avoiding? Because the one thing you're avoiding is the thing that needs to get done. But if you're in front of me, if you're in front of my face in my home office and we are doing this boot camp, right? Or maybe we did a travel version. So maybe we ended up in Scottsdale. Maybe we ended up in Las Vegas. Maybe we're somewhere else. Either way, quite frankly, I'm not going to allow you to have excuses, because if you fall, Tyler and I are there. If you don't know how to do something, Tyler and I will do it. If you're feeling any type of way, okay, well, we literally cleared our schedule to help you tackle literally anything that comes up. So let's go, right? So if you've been listening and you've been thinking, wow, this is something that I probably need, then you probably do need it, quite frankly. So this bootcamp is for you if you are overwhelmed by back-end operations, you know your systems need an upgrade, but you don't know where to start, you're launching a new concept and want it built right from the start, or you're tired of feeling behind and want real progress. And if you're serious about taking your business to the next level, this is absolutely your chance. I want to mention this experience is extremely limited. There are only 52 weeks in the year, and we do not do this every year. We can only take on a handful of clients for this. Now, I want to mention that normally this program does run between anywhere from $15,000 to $22,000. But right now we are offering a very special rate for this. And I want to mention that our rate includes not only that 5 days of uninterrupted focus, but we'll cover your hotel because most people are not close to us. We actually cover 2 meals per day. We have this really awesome meal plan that we can make sure you're all taken care of. So you don't have to worry about where you're putting your head or what you're putting in your body. Of course, we always have fun drinkies and fun snackies around. So really, we want to make sure mind, body, and soul is taken care of here. And we do all of this for under $10,000. Like, it's pretty insane. So this is literally, we've never seen anyone else on the market do it in this way. We're very excited to be offering this. So if you do want in for something like this, you can go ahead and secure your spot with a $500 deposit right now. Go ahead and take a look at the description of this episode and you will see the link for more information. But if you do have any more questions before getting started, I totally understand. Go ahead and send me an email, hello@marinamars.com, and let's chat. But just know that this is your chance to get a year's worth of progress done in just 1 week. The only question is, are you ready? So until next time, keep building, keep scaling, and I will see you in the next episode. As always, just let me know if you need anything.